Good morning, dear students. I am Ms. Navida Sheikh from Brahan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika MCGM virtual class. I welcome all my dear students to another and interesting session. In today's session, we'll be learning something new and interesting from a science textbook. So let's get started. Good morning, dear students. I welcome all my dear students to another and interesting session. I am Ms. Navida Sheikh and we'll be learning Laws of Motion Part 2. Now, in this lesson, already we have learned a few concepts like speed, velocity, what is distance, displacement, and today we'll be learning the main important part, that is Newton's law of motion. Now, when motion, we have already learned about Sir Isaac Newton in our previous class, so we know about him, and we also know that he has contributed a lot in the field of science. So, he motion. Now here in this image you can see kids play tug of war. You all must have also played it in your school, right? So when you play a tug of war game, in that game there are two groups of people who pull the rope towards them. Okay, so there you apply force over the rope in order to get other people onto your side. Okay, so here the kids are doing the same thing, and if you have experienced this earlier, I hope you recollect when you played this, you had applied force, and suddenly, when both the teams are applying same force, the rope doesn't move, right? So the force over there is balanced. Okay, both the sides are applying equal amount of force, and hence we say that that force is balanced force. Whereas on the next side, if suppose a group of students are much stronger as compared to the other one and they are applying much more force, then the rope tends to move onto the side of the stronger group, right? That means there is an unbalanced force between the two groups, right? Because one of it is having more power, more force than the other one. So when this applied force become unequal, that is unbalanced, a net force gets applied in the direction of the greater force and the center of the rope shifts at that direction. Okay, so जिस direction में force apply किया गया है उस direction में वो move होती है. ठीक है, so this is very simple to understand balanced and unbalanced force. So this concept, if it becomes clear to you, then you will understand all the three laws of motion. Okay, so balanced and unbalanced force is quite clear right now. So let's now here you can see a girl playing with a ball, and the ball is at rest first. Then she kicks it, and the moment she kicks, the ball tends to start moving. Okay, so this girl is applying what? She is also applying an unbalanced force, right? If she would have been applied equal amount of force, it wouldn't have moved, right? But here what is she doing is she's applying an unbalanced force, means more force is applied than the force which is there already on the ball. Okay, that makes the ball move. So the unbalanced force causes the change in the state of an object at rest or in uniform motion. Now imagine yourself preparing for a 100-meter run. Now if I ask you to stop immediately within a second, will you be able to do that? Or if I ask you to take a sudden right turn, will you be able to do it? The answer is no. Why? But you can do it, but gradually. Alright? Now, why is this happening, and is it applicable to all the objects? Yes, it is applicable to every object which is moving or at rest. Now, if an object is at rest, it will remain in the state of rest, and if an object is moving, it will remain in the state of motion until an unbalanced force is applied over it. Okay, so if an unbalanced force is applied over a object which is at rest, it will start moving. Or if an object which is moving, so as we studied that a body remains in a state of rest until an unbalanced force acts upon it, or if an object is moving, it will remain in that particular direction only, keep moving until an external unbalanced force acts on it. Okay, so this Newton's first law explains the phenomena of inertia as well. Okay, so the inertia is something that you've already learned in your previous class. So let's just quickly take one example of inertia so that it becomes clear. This bus is moving and it had applied sudden brakes. So this man or the passengers in the bus tend to move in the forward direction. Okay, so this is because of inertia of motion. Your body was in the state of motion, but due to the sudden brake which was applied, your body halt. Okay, your body had to stop, but that could not happen immediately. Okay, as I told you that it takes little time and effort for our body to understand this, and hence your body tends to move in the forward direction. This brings us to the actual Newton's first law of motion. As we have learned the terms which are required to understand Newton's first law, an object continues to remain at rest or in a state of uniform motion along a straight line unless an external unbalanced force acts on it. Means if I have an object which is at rest, like the ball, if it is kept like that only without any action or any force applied to it, it will remain like that only, right? Or if there is a body which is moving, and it will keep moving until an external unbalanced force is applied to it. Okay, so in both the cases, I hope it is clear. In order to make an object move, or in order to make an object change its direction or change its speed, there needs to be an external unbalanced force acting over it. Okay, so I hope with this example things have become clear to you all regarding Newton's first law of motion. Now we move on to the next part. Here you can see a man is hitting this ball with a hammer, and if he is applying little amount of force, the ball tends to move little up. Okay, not very high. But when he applies a larger amount of force, you can see the amount of intensity he is hitting it, the ball goes straight up. Okay, so with this, it is we're going to study with this example about Newton's second law of motion. Now, the effect of an object striking another object depends both on the mass of the former object and its velocity. Okay, how much mass does it have, and with how much velocity we are acting over it. Okay, this means that the effect of the force depends on a property related to both mass and velocity of the striking object. This property was termed as momentum by Newton. Let's understand. Now here this example is very easy to understand about mass and velocity and acceleration, because more massive objects like the car, they require greater force to be accelerated. Means if I want to move this car in a particular speed, I have to apply too much of force because the mass is more over there, right? Whereas if you see a lawn mower, okay, the one which we use to cut the grasses, if I apply force over it, I will require less force to move that Land Rover. Why? Because that lawn mower is actually has a very less mass as compared to that of the car. Okay, so with this we can say understand that that more push or force to get the heavier car to accelerate than it does the less massive lawnmower. Okay, so it takes more amount of force to push a car in order to accelerate it, and rather than the lawnmower. Okay. Now here this picture is also an example of the same thing. If the mass is more, you will require more force in order to accelerate it, in order to move it. Okay, if it is less, then it will be easier and it will be faster also. So momentum is what? It is the product of mass and velocity of an object. Now momentum is written as capital P, and the formula is mass into velocity. And momentum is a vector quantity because it has magnitude and direction both. Okay. So in SI system, you write down the unit for momentum is grams meter per second, while in CGS system it is grams centimeter per second. And if an unbalanced force applied on an object causes a change in the velocity of the object, then it also causes a change in its momentum. Okay, so this goes hand in hand. The force necessary to cause a change in the momentum of an object depends upon the rate of change of momentum. Okay, so in order to bring about a change in the momentum, it depends upon the rate of change of momentum. So this gets us to the actual statement of the second law of motion. With these two examples, it will be much clearer to you all. You all can see in this picture that there are two kids who are sitting. One is thinner and one is a little heavier on the side. So when you are applying the same amount of force to both of them, you will notice the one which is having lesser mass tends to move further as compared to the one having the heavier mass, massive mass. Okay, so this way you can understand Newton's second law of motion. Whereas on the other hand, you can see that if a man is applying little less force over his friend who is on the skateboard, he moves little ahead. Whereas if he applies more, larger amount of force is applied, he moves much further and in the direction of the force that is applied. Okay, so in both the cases, the objects are moving in the direction of the force that has been applied over them. So, the rate of change of momentum is proportional to the applied force and the change of momentum occurs in the direction of the force. So, with this, I hope the statement is clear. There are a few things other than the statement which are important related to second law. That is Newton's second law of motion, according to it, the rate of change of momentum is proportional to the applied force. Okay, so the rate of change of momentum and applied force. See, the rate of change of momentum is ma into which is directly proportional to force. Okay, they go, if one increases, the other also increases. If one decreases, the other also decreases. So we can write it as F is equal to K ma, where K is the constant of proportionality and its value is 1. So you get the formula as F is equal to ma. Okay, this is important. The next thing that we have today is the SI and the CGS units. The SI system, according to that, the unit of force is Newton. It is actually, the definition is also important for Newton. The force necessary to cause an acceleration of mass of 1 meter per second square in an object of mass 1 kg is called 1 Newton. 1 Newton is equal to 1 kg into 1 meter per second square. In CGS system, the unit of force is a dyne. The force necessary to cause an acceleration of 1 centimeter per second square in an object of mass 1 gram is called as 1 dyne. Okay, so this is very important to remember. What is 1 dyne, what is 1 Newton, what is the unit. You have to remember this. Now there's a question that you need to think about regarding the second law that we studied right now. Why is there a thick bed of sand for a high jumper to fall on after he has done his jump? So the answer is, in a high jump athletic events, in this athletic events, the athletes are made to fall either on a cushioned bed or on a sand bed, depending on the event. So in this, what happens is when the athlete runs and when he jumps, this decreases the rate of change of momentum and hence the force. As a result, the athlete does not get injured because of what? Because of the bed that was placed. Now, there are a few examples on the screen. So I think you get a clear idea about the next thing that we're going to do is Newton's third law of motion. There are a few examples which this Newton third law of motion. The very simple one is a balloon. You all can do it yourself also at home. Blow a balloon, do not tie it and just release it. You will notice that the air which you have already filled in the balloon tends to come out and the balloon tends to fly in the upward direction. Here there is a force which is acting on the balloon also, and that is what we are going to study in this law. Here the air which is already filled in is putting an action over the balloon, and the balloon tends to go up in the upward direction. That is the reaction of the balloon. Okay. Same way in nature, force cannot act alone. Okay, it needs whenever you see forces, it will always be in pairs. When an object applies a force on another object, the later object also simultaneously applies a force on the former object. The forces between two objects are always equal and opposite. Okay, always equal and opposite means how this balloon was filled with air. The air is coming in the downward direction, but the balloon is going in the upward direction. That means they are going in the opposite direction and equal. Okay, remember that. This idea is experienced in Newton's third law of motion that we are going to study now. The force applied by the first object is called action force, while the force applied by the second object on the first object is called as the reaction force. So here also, when this man tries to jump from the boat onto the port, what he does it, he applies a small amount of force onto the boat, which helps him to come on the port, but the ship also tends to move away from the port. Okay, so this is the action and reaction which is happening. So with this we come to the third law of motion, the statement. Now before I give you the statement, there is two more examples that I would like you to see and understand. When a cannonball is fired, you will notice that this cannonball is coming onto the is when it's come out. Okay, the entire machine moves on to the other side. Okay, so there is also equal and opposite reaction happening here. Same way for the rocket also, when it is ignited, what happens? The fuel pushes the rocket into the upward direction, and there is the space shuttle tends to go into the space with that amount of force that was applied. Okay, so the statement is every action force has an equal and opposite reaction force which acts simultaneously. So today we learned about Newton's three laws. The first law stated that an object at rest will remain at rest. Means here this box will remain like this only unless acted on by an unbalanced force. Means if I am applying the amount of force over it, unbalanced force, it will remain like that. When I apply it, it will keep moving. And how long will it move? And remove that force. Okay, so an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted on by an unbalanced force. An object in motion will continue with constant speed and direction unless acted on by unbalanced force. So now we move on to the Newton's second law of motion. The second law states that the acceleration of an object, acceleration means how fast that object is moving. Object depends on the mass of the object. Means if the object is very massive and very huge, the acceleration will depend on that. Okay, if it is very huge, it will require more force to move, right? As we studied in the previous slides, and we have seen that. So the acceleration of an object depends on the mass of the object and the amount of the force applied. The third law of motion states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay. Now remember this few examples that we studied. For this three laws. I hope you have understood all the three laws of motion. I will see you in the next coming period. Till then, thank you.
If you liked our video, please subscribe to our channel and do not forget to hit the like button.
Hope this session was quite useful to you. In the next coming period, we'll learn something new and interesting. Till then, thank you.